Hi everybody, my name is Lisa. I'm here today to bring a brief meditation and a reading. So for those of you who would like to join in the meditation, it's just going to take a few minutes and I will timestamp the reading when it begins. So if it's safe and comfortable to do so, you can close your eyes and we're just going to begin by taking 3 deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and just pausing here, setting the intention of receiving information with openness and spaciousness, to allow whatever wants to come through. Taking a moment to enjoy this peace and quiet, knowing that we don't always have to fill the space with media or information. And taking one closing breath, inhale, exhale, and if your eyes are closed, slowly opening them. So before I turned on the camera, I did pull one card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. And that card is the desert. And when we look at the desert, what do we think about? Or I should say, what do I think about? I think about 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. I think about the concept of uncertainty. So not knowing when things are going to change, when the landscape is going to change. I think about endurance when it comes to the desert. So making a long journey through a very monotonous space. This could be pertaining to some kind of liminal space in your life or some sort of transitional time. I know it's spring right now when I'm recording this, which is a very transitional time between winter and summer. And I think that it's a time when a lot of us are waking up. It could be waking up to potential. It could be waking up to new projects that we want to be doing. But maybe being in that transitional space where we're planning or not sure where the next move is going to be. So just take a moment. You can think about what the desert means to you. And then we'll pull some more cards. Okay, so I have a few decks shuffled up here. I'm just going to see what's calling me. So I'm called to the Star Codes Astro Oracle deck. See if we can get a card here to deepen the message. Tell us what we need to know from the Star Codes Astro Oracle. Okay. We have retrograde review. So that's talking to me about needing to reflect before taking action. I know retrogrades are usually a time when taking action is not recommended. It's more a time of looking back on the past and maybe trying to resolve something from the past that is impinging upon the future before plowing forward with any kind of action. I believe there's a Venus retrograde going on right now, which often talks about looking back at 8 years prior. I know that's the cycle that Venus is in for its retrogrades. It's an 8-year cycle when it would have been retrograding in Aries. So looking back to 2017 and seeing what was coming up in the themes of love, in the themes of what you were wanting to attract, and just seeing if those need some resolution or revision before moving forward. I know Mars has been retrograding in Cancer for the last little while, or retrograding between Leo and Cancer. So I think that with Mars in the sign of Cancer in a retrograde motion, in its I know Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. I think it's its fall. So I think that looking at themes of perhaps toxic masculinity or other ways in which Mars energy feels very frustrated is also a good thing to be looking at this time. Okay, where do we want to go from here? Let's go with Crystals, the Stone deck. Okay, we have Amethyst. I know amethysts are good for connecting with the higher realms, connecting to spirit. I think they're also good for clearing the mind. It's a stone associated with February, which is, I guess, partially Aquarius season and partially Pisces season. I know that I'm an Aquarius and amethyst is my birthstone. This card has some information on the back, which I can read. What it is: amethyst is a lilac to dark purple, semi-precious gemstone from the quartz family. The ancient Romans believed amethyst got its purple color when the god Bacchus spilled wine on a clear stone. Today, amethyst is believed to assist in connecting with the big guy in the sky. Who needs it? Train wrecks who go off the rails on the wet and wild route to Bacchanalia, any Pisces. Where to put it? The interior decorator's little purple secret. Amethyst uplifts the vibes of any living space. When to use it? When it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with purpose. Hold on tight to amethyst. Get drunk on your highest self. That's interesting. When it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with purpose. Hold on tight to amethyst. So when it's time to stop, that's interesting with the retrograde review. When it's time to stop ruminating on the past, or when it's time to, I understand the idea of if we are truly victimized, to need to work through that and to need to do the work on understanding the patterns of toxic people. But I think there is a point when we need to put that down and take accountability for what we need to take accountability for. And kind of thinking about that desert energy as well. This might be a transitional time when you're going from maybe somebody who has been persecuted or more of a victim mindset. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a neutral way. Like if you are someone who has been victimized in the past, to a more hero mindset, or someone who can see themselves as having the power to change their lives rather than being a victim of circumstance, if that makes sense. So when it's time, Amethyst is saying, when it's time to give up the victim routine and start living with purpose, hold on tight. Yeah, so I think Amethyst could help with this transition from the desert state to maybe the oasis, or maybe a state, an ecosystem that has a little bit more water, or a climate that's a bit more inviting, where you can start to really plant and grow your seeds. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can get a little bit of tarot. I'm going to use the Muse Tarot to get a few more cards here. Okay, you have the Eight of Inspiration, the Three of Materials, and the Queen of Voices. So the Eight of Inspiration talks about charging forward with something. The Eight of Materials talks, or sorry, not Eight of Materials, Three of Materials talks about building. So building something from the ground up. And then the Queen of Voices I see as a protective spirit. Somebody who is able to understand darkness very clearly and who is able to compost it almost, or protect whomever she's bound to protect from the darker forces, the darker energies. So this is telling me that even though we're in the desert right now, and actually this Eight of Inspiration looks like the desert to me. Even though we're in the desert, if we keep charging forward, even though the landscape is monotonous, we're going to get to a place where we can start to build, where we can start to plant our seeds in more fertile territory. And with the Queen of Voices here, we have someone here who's able to be a guardian over us and protect us. Okay, where are we going next? Let's have a look at the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. Okay, you have the Vulture. I actually really love the Vulture card. The Vulture is a very important member of the food chain, the ecosystem, someone who is not afraid to come in and devour and process the dead matter. So just as we were talking with the Queen of Voices, someone who is able to compost the darker energies, or someone who understands and is able to comprehend and compost the darker energies. I feel like the Vulture is kind of a matching energy for that. So there is definitely some kind of a death process going on here It is an in-between period instead of a period where you're being encouraged to charge forward. So I think with the vulture here, the vulture is encouraging you to kind of look at the dead matter of your life and to take the steps to work with the Queen of Voices and compost it as you're moving through the desert, before moving forward with any new process that you want to move forward with. Okay. Let's get a closing message from the Herbal Astrology Oracle. Okay, wow. Number 17, go-to cola, higher consciousness. I know absolutely nothing about this plant. 17 breaking down to an 8. 8 talks about building. 8 talks about the independent spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm just going to read what the book has to say about this one. Number 17. Okay, so go-to cola, higher consciousness. Upright, hermit, solitude, soul-searching, realization, greater knowing, enlightenment. And it's ruled by Mercury and the moon. So here's the guidance for this card. Go-to cola, like the wise hermit in the tarot, signals the achievement of great wisdom through solitude and trust. You are entering a period of deep inner contemplation. Looking for answers requires solitude and disconnection from the regular casualties of life. Go-to cola walks through the undiscovered pathways of the subconscious mind with precision, guided by the light of the northern star. This really reminds me of wandering in the desert. You are moving into a new and higher stage of being. If you're experiencing a sense of loneliness or alienation, you are perhaps living a reality where your own deep truths have been denied. This is a time for introspection, a time for rest, meditation, and inner work. Your consciousness is undergoing transmutation. Take the time to study. Invoke your higher consciousness every day through meditation and contemplation. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate having you here, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.